if you smell what The Rock is cooking.
Acknowledge me.
You don't know what hard times are, Daddy.
We are bad to the bone. Get it? Bad to the bone.
Tell me when I'm telling lies.
I'll fight anybody. Who do you want? Just let me fight him.
Let me tell you something, Jim Ross.
Mega power, yeah.
Hogan, we got it for you.
No! We are the best of the best.
Woo! Wheeling, dealing.
Smart marks.
And that's the bottom line, cause Stone Cold said so.
Welcome to Talk 'em in the Building, a pro wrestling podcast where we focus specifically on the pro wrestling promo. We talk about the talkers, we hype the hype men, and we pontificate on the promo. My name is Adalid, and I'm here joined by my co-host, my compatriot, my compadres, my lucha libre aficionados. We got Adrian out in Atlanta, we got Greg also out in Atlanta, a resident historian. And fellas, yeah, what's up? And if this is your first time joining us, thank you for giving us a listen and a watch. Like, comment, subscribe, but go into thebuilding.com. It's going to take you to our past catalog. We got all forms of media, long form, short form, reels, whatever you want. Check it out. We talk about talkers. And before we dive into this, promo, and we are doing a Dusty promo where we look at a promo and we rate if it's going to talk us into the building, as it were, right? And we go by Dusty, the great Dusty Rhodes, and we go 1 to 5 Dusties, and we try to see what it makes sense to us. And that's the beauty of the promo. It doesn't depend on the time or the era. We focus just on the promo, right? We may not know the backstory, but we judge it on its merits. But before we get into it tonight, I want to talk about a topic of conversation that we've circled around, we've talked about here and there, and I think it's a good point to acknowledge because Tony Khan was back interviewing with Ariel Helwani. And we all know how it broke down last time. It literally broke down
right.
After the fact and through social media. And, I don't think, cooler heads prevailed clearly until now. Hell froze over because he was back there. So here's his interview by Tony Khan, and he's going to talk about how it's his favorite year. He gets into, the extreme, stunts that are involved, and also digs into CM Punk a little bit and to the idea of counter programming. There's a lot of coverage here. Let's take a look at it a little bit on them talking about CM Punk here. Very briefly.
Him leaving and then showing up on WWE like 2 months later, that was a huge boost, right?
I think really for us, we've had a great run for 6 years. And if you look at the time before Phil came to AEW, we were having a great run and we had some great times together. But we've been on a great run and we're having this great year right now with this roster. And I think this is the best roster and the best AEW locker room. And it feels like in and out of the ring, the combination of them, this is the best we've been. But I also think that we had great times together. And it was clear when we started doing Collision, I wanted to reconcile and find a way to still do those things. And I guess that wasn't possible. But I didn't necessarily agree with everything.
Did you learn any lessons? Because one of the things that he said in that interview was that, like, and I hope you don't think this is coming from me.
Sure.
I'm paraphrasing that, like, you don't stand up as a boss. You let people kind of like walk all over you. And so that felt like an indictment on you as the leader of the company, which is what you are. And so I'm wondering what your response would be to that.
I don't agree with that, but I also think that everybody's entitled to their opinion, and that's feedback, and it's fair if that's how he feels. But I didn't agree with the description of the way things played out, and that's okay. And that's all in the eye of the beholder, just like the whole situation. If you see the way it came out, it all was in the eye of the beholder, and that's okay. I think AEW is doing really well right now, and I'm really happy with what the people on the shows are doing. And it wasn't the first time that he and I disagreed about something, and it may not ever be the last, and that's okay.
My question to y'all for tonight is, he talks about it being a new era, right? This is his favorite era, talks highly about the talent in an era where, now you have an owner who clearly is owning up to some missteps, to some of it at least. Mm-hmm. Does this, more transparency, what does that do for talent? Is this a better AEW as he's referencing, or is it just, corporate speak and he's just trying to, put on, leave himself looking like roses. Greg, I'm gonna come to you because we've had a lot of conversations, and we know your feelings on Tony Khan, and I think all of us share some evolution of those. So dig into it, man.
I mean, I have not had a chance to see anything, so that's my first time seeing that.
Mm.
I've heard little bits and pieces, right? I just haven't had a chance to sit down, and it's what I want to do. I want to watch the entire thing. But to his credit, that's exactly how he was supposed to answer that question. Think about it this way: whether we agree or we don't agree, or the IWC agrees or don't, what are you supposed to say?
Right.
I mean, as I'm listening to him talk, and I hate to say it, but when I listen to him talk, I have to compare him to a Bischoff. I have to compare him to Paul Heyman. I have to compare him to Vince, thinking, what would they say to that same question? And my first thought is, I've never heard Vince say, "Oh yeah, that era was better." During the time he has a roster,
Right.
he has ratings, he has TV contracts. He can't come back and say during the Ruthless Aggression era, go, "Yeah, well, it was better with Stone Cold," and that'd be stupid. It would just be dumb. And so that's where I think Tony's actually matured as a leader, because he actually is being a little bit more corporate, and he should be.
Right.
He's a multi-billionaire who runs other corporations. If he acted the same way with the Jaguars or his soccer team and stuff like that, he would be ostracized in those different leagues. So now he is being a little bit more politically correct. Even speaking, hey, Phil and I didn't see eye to eye. I don't agree with his assessment of my leadership. But if that's the way he feels, that's okay. In the past, he would have doubled down and snapped back at him, and I in my opinion, and I just think
learning.
I think there's some growth there. There's some press prep, if you will.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm glad. I'm very happy about it, because I know we all want to hear the dirt. We all want to see that, but sometimes you just have to shut up, not say it. So actually, I like that clip. I like what he said, and I don't totally disagree. I think that he's finally finding a little bit more footing. Do I think it's the hottest it's ever been? No. But do I think it's going down the correct path? I do. I think that he's been patient with certain people. I think the whole Mercedes Moné, it was crashing and burning, in my opinion, in the beginning. I think it's on a trajectory upward. Ricochet, we've all blasted how he was. I think that they've handled that a better way. I just think there's certain things that they've handled better. Building for the future, and not just necessarily hot-shotting and building for today. You know what I mean? And I was happy to hear that answer. I truly was, and not just him living off the first few years or blasting people who aren't there.
For sure.
Right. And that's one of many, right? He's asked directly about Edge. He's asked directly about so many other subjects. And consistently, to your point, this is a learned, almost burned, Tony Khan 3 years later after that interview, who is leaning into corporate speak, but for good reason, right? Why not? Why not protect your investment, essentially, right?
Yeah.
But Adrian, what are your thoughts on this idea? Greg mentioned it here. He's looking towards the future, right? He's trying to, keep his vision forward rather than let it simmer on past transgressions or just problems that he had.
Right. I think they're finally getting to the point where they can move away from that black cloud. Like I was never a fan of how the framing was. CM Punk is a cancer. He's the reason why all of this was happening. That was always my point of contention, because most of us that paid attention to rumors, hell, Twitter, we saw wrestlers before CM Punk having issues with each other and coming to blows backstage, to which guys getting suspended. So I always hated that point of, well, CM Punk is the cancer. It's very, even though that interview and that podcast episode or whatever you want to call it, it was kind of boring to me. I will be honest. It was kind of boring because, like you said, it was a lot of corporate speak. It was a lot of, I'm just going to answer these questions in this sort of way, which it shows maturity. but it made for a boring podcast, in my opinion. Because most of us were looking for the dirt, we're looking for the juice, and but all we're getting is this corporate speak, So it did make for a boring one, but I'm glad, and I agree with y'all. I'm glad that Tony is showing that kind of maturity, because in the past, Twitter Tony was a menace. He would say what the hell he was thinking immediately, and then he would wind up regretting it. So I'm glad that AEW is moving past that whole issue with CM Punk, and it seems like he's like trying to move on and trying to move forward. Like, the opportunity's there for All Elite Wrestling, no matter if you don't like it or if you do love it, like a lot of people do. The opportunity's there for them, and now is the time for their leader to actually step up and be a leader. So that's refreshing.
Well, more power to them. I know that they're doing the 5 years, going on 6, and they just came back with this compendium, this book, like a retrospective. And look, we all three were early supporters. I mean, we want to see the product, and even in our biggest criticism, look, competition is good. Every wrestler that's working today likes having that second option, because guess what?
100%.
Everybody's getting paid, baby, and it's all about the green. So,
let me throw one thing out there. I had this debate with a guy online, not a bad one, just a debate back and forth on TikTok, actually. And he was saying that how WWE had dropped the ball on Tony Storm and had dropped the ball on Mercedes. I said, I don't think they dropped the ball. And there's reverse as well. There's a lot of people that people think AEW dropped the ball on. I don't believe that either. It's the nice thing is Tony Storm could leave a certain territory,
right, and
go reinvent herself. Mercedes could leave a territory where she's going to be positioned in this certain area and go reinvent herself, and vice versa. I mean, whether it's Punk coming over, bigger star now than he ever was because of AEW. Let's don't get it twisted. Cody, bigger star than he ever was because of AEW. But not just those guys. Ricky Saints, Ethan Page, these other guys who are able to go to another spot.
Jade,
and
she's on her way.
Jade, huge, right? And nobody can say AEW dropped the ball with Jade. I would debate that all day long. I think they booked her better than WWE for a while.
That's true. From the onset,
yeah. But at the same time, that's the benefit of having these two companies and and more, right? And TNA and others. But these two, without Tony Khan doing this and putting his money in there, we don't have the WWE. We don't have the industry we have today. Let's just call it what it is. I'm going to give him credit for pouring those millions upon millions upon millions of dollars in here that have built a better product as a whole. WWE's better, TNA's better, Japan's better, MLW's better, GCW's better. Everybody's better because of AEW. And I'm glad to see Tony kind of coming out and being more mature, because the last thing we want to hear, I know we all have the tribalism and all that kind of crap. The last thing we want to have happen is them lose anybody, but especially AEW lose a TV contract.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing that can happen, not just to them, but to this industry.
Yeah.
And that's what made me so happy with what we just watched, is that maturity that I've got to play a little bit of politics. I've got to play a little bit more corporate speak, because I've got to keep these contracts. And because there's rumors of buyouts and all kinds of other stuff that I may need to shift somewhere else, right? So that actually excites me, whether I'm a huge AEW fan or not. And I'm not right now. I keep up with it, but I don't watch it as much.
Right.
But I'm beyond happy it's there, and I want it to stay.
Great.
Yeah. Preach that, and here's to many more years. Let's see a decade. Says I would love to see the landscape in 5 years with an AEW still existing, and maybe having that steady contract. That's going to be something to see. And look, all the stars right now. Time gets us all, and they're going to be on the way out. So new opportunities, right? For sure. Well, if we're talking about opportunities and we're talking about an next generation, that's what we're going to dig in for this Dusty review. So I'm going to take you guys to an up and coming star. He's been featured on WWE programming, maybe not as much recently, but he just dropped an NXT promo. I've been following him online on social media. He's a weird dude, fascinating dude, a little weird. This is Shiloh Hill.
What's going on? I'm Shiloh Hill. I'm the proud winner of Season 2 of WWE LFG, and I'd like to download you on some information about myself before I get started in NXT. So a lot of people think I'm this big-time jock because I played college football, but other people think I'm this big-time nerd because I played at Stanford, and I like figuring out how things work. Ironically, though, school was never really my thing. I remember when I was little, every time I would start to like it, my parents would come wake me up in the middle of the night and they'd tell me the fog was coming and then we'd have to move again. I think in 3rd grade, I went to something like 32 days in the year, and so I got in trouble with the state. School was just so boring. So every morning, me and my sisters would wait for the bus to come, and then we just run into the woods and play all day. It was fantastic. But I know what you're probably thinking. You're probably thinking, Shiloh, if you hated school so much, how'd you wind up at Stanford? Well, my freshman year, I actually tested out all the classes that my high school had to offer, and so I took online classes instead. Now, I didn't tell anyone, but they were actually super easy, and so I finished them in like the first week, and then I got to focus on the fun stuff. I'm talking about quantum mechanics, the dark web, conspiracy theories. It was really cool. But you know what was really, 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 really cool? Playing football. I love hitting people. I remember my first ever practice, I got kicked out for suplexing our starting tight end. And my coach was so pissed, but it didn't matter because at the end of the year, I had 61 offers to play outside linebacker. Then I wound up at Stanford. I can't even tell you how good it feels to hear a man's air leave his lungs when I hit him in the diaphragm. That's what I call feeling the thunder. Anyways, check back soon for more.
Shiloh Hill giving you his life story in about 2 minutes, essentially, right? Adrian, what do you know about Shiloh Hill? And then talk about the promo, because is this something that's going to make you click on NXT and check it out?
Well, I watch NXT. I will admit I don't really watch LFG too much. I will catch occasional clips or whatnot, mainly because like Elijah Holyfield, Go Dogs, is a guy that's been on there. And I do like the drama that they try to drum up, at least from the judges' standpoint, with LFG. So I'm not too familiar with him. I will say that out front. Obviously he won LFG, so he's a talented dude. Like, you can tell that he's talented. We all know what WWE has had the history of the past couple years when it comes to pretty much molding out of clay these Division I athletes into pro wrestlers. But just talking about this promo, it leaves stuff to be desired for me. I like it in some elements, but overall, I don't know. That's really my opinion of that, at least initially. That's my initial statement on this promo.
No, for real. And again, it's, I know, Greg, you do watch LFG here and there. I think I'm somewhere between Greg and Adrian, but I'm familiar with him more from social media presence. But I'll dig into that later. But Greg, you had some reactions there, but what were your thoughts on the Shiloh Hill? This is a true Division I athlete who's now becoming a character.
He is, but so I was more intrigued, I think, than Adrian.
Mm-hmm.
So because he's playing the jock / I'm smarter
Incel?
than you, huh?
He's like an incel, right? Like,
yeah.
He's like a subreddit. He's like a Reddit moderator.
It's kind of like he's there's something dark webbish coming off of this.
Yeah.
And it made me, when he started talking, it gave me Bray Wyatt-ish. He gave me Bray Wyatt-ish from the standpoint of, I'm smarter than you. I'm smarter than my parents. I went to Stanford. I was a badass on the football field. But I'm also doing code and doing some other stuff over here that we don't know what you're doing. And so it kind of made me feel like he's going to play some mind games or something. So that's what had me intrigued, because this was a totally different type of presentation. And I was like, when he started talking, I'm like, well, the nerd part doesn't connect with the vision.
No.
Mm-hmm.
And even the jock part doesn't connect with the vision of what I have sitting in front of me, because he's not like he's overly built, you know what I mean? So it's not like he's not Elijah Holyfield. He's not these other dudes who we've seen come in through their NIL program. So it's kind of like, I rated it higher because, one, he carried it well. He didn't yell, didn't scream. A little bit different, little Jake-ish, a little bit of, like I said, little Bray Wyatt-ish. The way he delivered some of that was just kind of a little bit of inflection. A long way to go to get to Bray. Don't get it twisted before anybody freaks out. He's not Bray, no crap.
Nah, yeah, for sure.
But it just has me intrigued to go, where are we going to go with this? Because it's something different. And as Eric Bischoff says, you can be better than, less than, or different than. And that was different than.
That's fair.
You caught on to such a specific detail of this character, and I love it. I love it because it broke through to you. Dark web. He has this whole series on TikTok, on Instagram, and he'll do these short storytelling sessions. Essentially, like, I went on the dark web. I bought this shoe, and there's like all these. Then you start thinking like, oh gosh, is there actually like some horrible thing that this shoe is associated with because he bought it on the dark web? And you're intrigued, and you're like going through his stories, trying to follow him, right? But there is truth to what he's doing because, he's a smart dude, right? So, we always say the greatest characters are themselves amped up, right? And this dude, I mean, if you look up actually like his whole history, and you look up exactly, his background, not just like academically, but just his name. His real name is Thunder Justice Keck. He can't even use what? Like that's a gimmick name, right? That's like literally
100%.
He's got to find a much more like neutered version, Shallow Hill, to make it make sense. It's hilarious. There's a lot going on here. I think in a lot of ways it was a little bit overproduced, to be honest.
I think so.
If you do follow him on social media, it was very rehearsed. You can tell he was trying to hit certain notes, and obviously it was very edited together. But let's get into our Dusty review here again. For those of you listening, we do 1 through 5 Dusties, and we're rating it specifically on the promo, right? We may be lacking context and whatnot. This is just if this promo would talk us into the building, into watching next week, or in this case, into finding out who Shiloh Hill really is. I'll go ahead and dive into it because, again, just having some background on him, I'd give it at this point, I'm gonna go on the end that you might not think, 2.5, and I'll tell you why. I think when this guy hits a 5, it's gonna be a Hall of Fame 5. If he can put the pieces together, if he can, find himself on his own without the editing, I think this guy has the potential for being something great. And I can't base it on anything other than just the way that he's developed quickly as he has.
Right.
The guy seems to be a sponge. Greg, I'm going to come over to you. What do you think? Dusty rating here.
So here's the thing. We rate it, and this is for everybody else out there watching. Like you explained it well. We look at this in a vacuum, right? We're not comparing it to Hard Times. We're not comparing it to Ric Flair or The Rock or anybody. Did it talk me into the building? And it did. It makes me want to see the next one. And having no context from what you just said, like I don't know nothing about his social media, anything, right? Now I'm even more intrigued, but I can't rate it based on what you said. And I have to look at it from the standpoint of this is a dude that just fresh off of LFG. He's an NIL kid. He's, green as you can get.
Absolutely.
I mean, for me, it's 3.25. And so it's like, because it does have me intrigued, and it has me wanting to see what's next. And it's different than, y'all. It's not a 10-minute promo in the ring. It's when's the last time you saw something like that? I couldn't even tell you the last time we saw anything like that. So yeah, definitely.
Nice.
I feel that.
Adrian, what's your Dusty review for this?
Okay, so this, I will give them credit because, like you said, they haven't landed on one of these terminally online gimmicks or the hacker gimmick. I remember Solomon Crow, that was initially like his gimmick. Remember?
Poor guy.
It didn't land, it didn't work. This has potential. However, I'm going to give it 2 Dusties, and this is the reason why. I do think that promo in particular should have been 3 different segments. I think that would have built more intrigue, as in, okay, I'm just going to fantasy book it. The first segment, let's make him appear to be somewhat normal. Let's make him, he played college football. He won LFG. He's excited to be a pro wrestler. The next segment, let's continue that, but let's suddenly drop in how he's into conspiracy theories. He's into the dark web, and leave it like that. And then the final one, we actually see slightly unhinged. We should be concerned about him. But at this point, being the 3rd different segment of this character, we want to see what he's up to. Build that intrigue. This is part of the reason why we make this make this podcast, because we're all fans of not only promos but segments. It's storytelling, it's character development, it's opportunities that this promo or this piece seemed rushed. They seem like they put way too much information for all of us for this one character. So for that reason, I got to give it 2. Although I understand where Greg is, I understand the potential of this character.
Let me push back on you for a second, because that's what we got to do. We got to push back. We don't do enough
absolutely.
of it, right?
That's what it is. Yeah,
I don't disagree with what you just said. However, this was shown on NXT. I haven't seen it. Okay,
it was on NXT this past week.
Think about the audience. In NXT, you're trying to grab an audience and get them to come back next week. If this was on Raw, they're going to be back next week. So I agree with what you said from the standpoint of, if I segment it, I can segment it better on a Raw or a SmackDown.
This is true.
As opposed to an NXT where I need to grab that. I'm trying to grab multiple people's attention.
Yeah.
And let's call it what it is. NXT is a little bit more the IWC, a little bit more that hardcore person. Right. If I just come out here and say, here's another football player, that's what they're going to do.
But okay, let me
Biggie.
Revert that. Let me revert that. First promo by my booking has hit the normal. I'm a former Stanford football player. I was highly intelligent, played football and all that. But let's say something weird in the middle of it, where it's like, hold on, what did he say? But he kept talking more of his normal promo. Let's build that intrigue. And the only reason why I'll push back on the opinion of the IWC NXT crowd this past week was in New York. So that was kind of like, that's not going to be your consistent audience. Like that, we all know that Orlando NXT crowd puts everything over. For better or for worse, like No Way Jose was over there. And he was literally the worst, but
you just hate him.
I absolutely hate that dude.
Come on,
absolutely. I'll be honest, but I understand what you're saying. I just think that it was kind of rushed. It seemed like it was way too much stuff in one segment, where they could have actually just built that intrigue. The Bray Wyatt is a perfect example of building intrigue in segments. I remember his first couple segments. It was damn near him only talking a little bit, like a little couple lines, and then it'll be something weird. And we all by the third time or the third segment that we saw this at week after week, we're all intrigued, we're all bought in. Multiple times with Bray Wyatt, because even with the what is the name of his character? The
Funhouse.
The Funhouse stuff. Like
we were all like, "What the
dude?"
world?
We were all in on that, right? That was all in because it was weird, but at the same point, we're like, "Okay, we don't know what's going on." And then by third week, we're all making memes of it. That's what this should be, at least the way I see it.
Yeah. No, I understand. I get what you're saying. I just think
Yeah.
it'd be broken up better on Raw, and it might be down the road.
Fair.
To that end, they haven't posted it on the official NXT account. They posted it on social media, cut up. So maybe there's
intentional.
something to that.
That's smart. That's smart.
You know?
That is smart. If it's only on social media, you're just feeding it to the IWC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, feed them whatever you want, right?
Yeah. And, you know, as you're talking, another character, and I just thought about it, like I see the Bray Wyatt piece, but from a shoot angle, you got a little bit of the Nowinski piece.
For sure.
I'm like, man, because I always thought that was one of the biggest what ifs in the history of wrestling.
100%.
You bring those two characters together, you have your little Christopher Nowinski and the Bray Wyatt. Oh,
man, that's something else. Shout out Chris Nowinski for all the stuff he's doing with CTE and keeping everybody good. But this is the beauty of the podcast, man. If this is your first time joining us, we just get into it. We love wrestling. We love the promo. And sometimes we even have a very different view of what a promo
That's a beautiful thing. Yeah,
that's a cool part. And all points are valid. So check us out, intothebuilding.com. Take you to the back catalog. But otherwise, like, comment, subscribe. And tell us, what did you think about the Shiloh Hill promo? What are your thoughts? And you want to dig into the Tony Khan conversation, knock yourselves out. But enough of us for tonight. We'll see you next time on Talk 'em in the Building. Peace.
You don't know what